have a suggestion for the federal government to create a dummy system for the internet. By this, I mean that you don't want to appear to have lured people into coming to your websites or following your links. You want people to have their own cognitive processes, and though you want that because it shows that they are intentionally looking for something, which shows intent, which is part of the legal process, you also want to make sure that the intent wasn't misplaced, like putting the keys in a vehicle and leaving it running and not expecting a kid to try to drive it because it looks really cool. Sometimes things are more alluring than they are actually criminal. However, as we're looking at a threat in the United States and the cultural concept of radicalization is something that should be taken very seriously. The aftermath of radicalization usually is the estimates of the body count, how much damage was done. Radicalization isn't a process that you see people doing when they come to your house with a Bible. That's not radicalization. Radicalization is a process of thought where people's thoughts are correlated into a different thought assembly, and then those people think that other people are right, and they become wrapped up into it. And then they start looking for what they might find. What I think you should do is that you should provide what they want to find, and then by monitoring them when they find it, but not providing them with what they want, you can officially create an ability for them to have their own trackers against themselves. So, e.g., for example, I go to Google, right? We all know you use the algorithm in Google. We know about the federal government's agreement through Google to monitor everything. We know all about it. Let's just pretend like we know all about the fact that you guys work together and move past that point. Okay, nobody's judging you. What if Google started making fake things for you in the algorithm that were high on the algorithm but not in the top 3 that related for things that people were looking up, like how to make a cross burning, or how to make an explosive, or how to download plans for what are those things they put on the back of a gun that makes them shoot a lot? One of those things too. I'm not saying that you're giving them information. I'm saying that you're providing fake links that look perfectly legitimate, that when they go to the link, it looks fine, but it's just spam. Or when they get to it, you say, this site hasn't been updated, da-da-da-da. So they can read part of it on the outside and think they're learning something, and that is the actual lure. You're not telling them to be racist. You're not telling them to be violent. You're not telling them to be radicalized. You're not radicalizing them. You're not leaving the keys in the front of an Escalade that's painted gold and has bass coming out of it. You're just identifying a potential victim of radicalization. And if you contain that process in the theoretical approach that you are not attempting to solicit information to cause harm or with the intent to cause harm, but in order to identify radicalization and where it's coming from on the backdrop for the ability to infiltrate said radicalization, then the benefit from it outweighs the risks, because we've seen what radicalization can do to simpler forms and concepts, such as, e.g., religious radicalization, or radicalization through the idea of racism, or radicalization through the belief that a process is fraudulent. Radicalization occurs, and most often it occurs to people who are the most vulnerable. And that is the reason why I suggest that the United States of America needs to seriously sit down and work on an ability to create an impact like this, as it will seek to change the way that we work together in the future.